Hi everybody, welcome to True Fan Forum. I'm your host Jay. Today, November 12th, 2018, the comic book world received the just absolutely heartbreaking news that the legendary Stan the Man Lee has passed away at the age of 95. And I just want to make this video to talk about a little bit about what Stan Lee meant to me and how I became to know him and just really the impact he had, not just for me, but for thousands and thousands of other people all across the world. Um, Now, naturally, I think Stan Lee is just a pivotal figure in comic books because he helped create some of the most iconic, important characters in comic books. Spider-Man, Iron Man, the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, the Incredible Hulk. Just so many and dozens of other characters he helped create. He also wrote just wonderful stories. I think set a new tone for comic books and helped show that comic books could be something more than what people thought they could be or what they were. And really, that's one of the most interesting things about Stan Lee. I find about Stan Lee, one of the most things that I just respect him for. The fact that he worked so hard to show that comic books were not just some cheap little kiddie entertainment that you can read when you're young, but then you discard when you get older and want to get into something more serious. No, no. He wanted to show that comic books could be serious, could be important, that the stories they tell could have meaning, that the artwork could be beautiful, that there could, he was not afraid to talk about events going on in that day, in the day he wrote them. War, poverty, sexism, racism. He covered all of that and really helped to usher in a new way of writing comic books that persists to this day. He was, to me, he was the ambassador of comic books, and I adore him for that. And I respect him for taking this thing that he loved and showing that it could be so much more. In addition to being um, the ambassador to comic books, for me, he was the voice of comic books. Because as a kid, I was way, way too young to read his story, to have read his stories. I mean, they were made decades before I was born. But growing up, I would watch the cartoons or play the video games, and there was his voice, narrating, helping guide the audience through the stories. And I love that. I mean, even as I'm speaking, I can still hear him, his voice. It's just he had this just wonderful quality to his voice. It's so unique, so fun. You couldn't help but become entranced listening to him. He was just a man of a great charisma and energy. And thankfully, his his cameos didn't just include voiceover work for Marvel properties. Oh no, he expanded beyond that. I remember an episode of Simpsons where he made a cameo appearance, and there was an episode where of The Big Bang Theory where he made a cameo appearance. It was just he was there, and I think even if people probably don't read comic books, they probably know who Stan Lee was, because he was just again he was out there. He was a public figure for comic books in a way I think few comic book creators could be. There was just something wonderful about him, something charming and captivating about listening to him. I mean, I got a bunch of Marvel movies, and I love watching the interviews he does, listening to his stories and how he created them and what he wanted to do with them. It was wonderful work. You know, just it just really made me appreciate the man even more than I already do. You know, and and speaking of cameos, I have to talk about the just absolutely wonderful cameos he did in the Marvel movies. Oh, I loved how as the movies went on, his cameos went from just being there to having substance, to having lines, to being characters. Oh, one thing I'm thinking of, one cameo I liked was in the first Fantastic Four movie with Jessica Alba, Michael Chiklis, and all them, where he got to play Willie the Mailman, which is great because that was a character he created. So I just love the idea of like, oh my gosh, he's playing a character he created. Oh, that's so awesome. Another cameo that I just really loved was one I can't remember the movie right now. I think it was maybe one of the Guardians of the Galaxy, maybe Doctor Strange, where it's Stanley. He's sitting on like this asteroid, and he's having a conversation with a group of watchers. And he's telling them their stories. And he's telling them stories from his life and his career. It's just I don't know. It's just so wonderful seeing him there. I love those cameos. Honestly, for me, one of the funnest things about sitting down to watch a Marvel movie, especially a new one, is waiting to see, you know, what's he gonna do this time? How's he gonna pop up? What insane little cameo is Stan Lee going to have that just blow me away? Like in Thor Ragnarok, where he got to play the barber, the shaky-handed barber who cut Thor's hair. Oh, that was hilarious. I love that. And it's gonna be very very weird after a while seeing Marvel movies and not getting to see him there. It's just the movie. I'm sure the movies will still be great, but I kind of feel like they're gonna be missing something. They will sorely miss that wonderful little bit of Stan Lee magic he had. Um, yeah, I mean, really, he will be missed. I of course want to offer my condolences to his daughter, to any other friends, and to his friends and families, to the people who knew him best, and must just be grieving his tremendous loss. Yeah, my deepest condolences to them. Uh, yeah, it's difficult talking about this because really, he meant so much to me in so many facets that just seeing Stan Lee on anything instantly grabbed my attention, made me want to see more. Um, and actually, now I think about it, I do want to take a moment to talk about a couple of other little projects that weren't as perhaps as successful as some of his other ventures, but were things that I felt were just wonderful and deserved to be noticed. First off, I want to talk about an animated web series he did quite a number of years ago called The Seventh Portal. Again, it was an animated web series in which a group of video gamers are transported to this other world, and where they can take on super heroic personas and fight to save the Earth against a horde of supervillains. It's a great series. You can find the episodes on YouTube, thankfully. So again, if you have a chance to check out Seventh Portal, seventh made with the number 7 TH and then Portal. And I have to mention this. Stan Lee does voice a character in that show, and it's great. So again, check out Seventh Portal. Another thing I want to talk about is very briefly is this Stan Lee's Mighty Seven Beginnings, an animated movie where Stan Lee, there he is, actually plays himself. And basically the general plot is Stan Lee meets a group of aliens that crash land on Earth, and he decides to help them not only acclimate to Earth, but become superheroes. And of course, he gets to write the comic book based on their adventures. It's a really fun little movie. It's got a fantastic voice cast. Stan Lee is just hilarious as himself. I might even do its own video one of these days. I don't know, but check it out if you can. It's a fun movie. I like the characters in it. They're really awesome. It was just great. And one other thing I want to talk about very briefly, especially if you're interested in writing comic books, is this: Stan Lee's How to Write Comics. Because I've often dabbled with the idea of writing comic books or getting into the comic book industry, and I thought, well, if I'm going to learn how to write comic books, why not learn from one of the greatest comic book writers ever? It's a great book. I actually did a video on it in my channel, so if you want to check it out. And it's wonderful, to get to see him talk about comic books and get the idea of how he went about writing comic books. It's wonderful. Um, this was difficult, because really Stanley means just I'm gonna miss him. I'm gonna miss the hearing his voice, the cameos. And I'm just so grateful for the amount of work that's out there and my ability to just enjoy what he did. He was so important to so many people. It was amazing, And I I, I don't think there will be anybody else who will even come close to filling his shoes and having this just amazing impact on comic books. Oh, there are many wonderful, talented writers and artists who had such an impact, who had a great impact on comic books, but Stanley was special. It was just something so unique about him, so captivating. Just it can't be replicated. And yeah, the comic book world lost a legend today. Um, so thank you very much, folks. May Stan Lee rest in peace. You know, may his family, may they be at peace. Um, yeah. So, um, thanks for watching, people. Feel free to comment below. Tell me, what does Stan Lee mean to you? Do you have any particular stories or anything that stands out in your mind about how Stan Lee impacted your life? Whether it was a comic book, whether it was another project, did you get a chance to meet him? Please feel free to tell me. I would love to hear your story. I would love to read your stories and your feelings on him. Um, so, thanks for watching. And as the man said, Excelsior!